Hello everyone, my name is Margot, and today I will walk you through how to get a validator set up on the Ternoa testnet. Some of the things that we are going to cover today are how to install substrate dependencies in Rust, how to download and build a Ternoa client, and how to set up a validator account. If you get stuck at any point or prefer to learn by reading, you can always check out the official Ternoa blockchain client documentation that will be linked down below in the description box and learn about the whole process in more details. Once you're done watching this video and have a node running, I recommend you check out the introduction page where you can find links to some basic information like what are the substrate key concepts, the substrate glossary, and how to run your own private substrate-based blockchain network. Reading the content behind the links will greatly improve your understanding on how everything works and will help you solve problems that you might stumble upon in the future. Our first step is to install the necessary dependencies that we need in order to build and run the Ternoa client. Since the dependency list might change in the future, it's always best to visit the official substrate tutorial where we can find the command that we can run. It's recommended to read the whole document first, and then head straight to the Install Required Packages section where we can find our first command that we need to run. Depending on what operating system you run, you need to execute one of the following commands that you see in the table. For Windows users, use Windows Subsystem for Linux version 2 with an Ubuntu 20 image and execute the command for the Ubuntu or Debian system. Go ahead and open the terminal. If you're using Ubuntu, you can press Ctrl-Alt-T to open it and connect to your virtual machine by executing the SSH command with the server live interval 60 option. This makes sure that you won't get disconnected prematurely. If you're following this tutorial on your personal computer, however, you can skip this command altogether. Now we just need to paste the command from the table before and press enter. Make sure that you have copied the right command for your operating system. This will install some of the dependencies we need in order to build the Ternoa client. If necessary, you might need to run this command with sudo powers. Before continuing, let's wait for this to finish. Once it's done, we can go back to the tutorial and execute the next command, which will be the last dependency we need, the compiler for the Rust language. We copy the command, and we paste it inside our open terminal. We press enter to execute it. It's best to stick with the default settings, so we'll just press 1 and press enter. This will install the Rust and Rust-related tools for the default location. Before continuing, let's wait for this to finish. After the installation is done, we need to configure our current shell so that it has access to the cargo environment variables. We copy and paste the given command and press enter. Let's go back to the tutorial and configure our Rust compiler to use the right toolchains. We copy the first command and paste it inside our open terminal. We press enter to execute it. Do the same for the second command. The first command has told the Rust compiler to use the stable version as the default one. With the last command, we're trying to get the latest Rust compiler version. Besides the stable version, we also need to install the nightly version of Rust. This can take a while. Now we just need to install the WebAssembly target and we're done. With the WebAssembly or WASM target, we can build portable applications that can be run everywhere. Running the next two commands will tell us if we have installed Rust properly. The rustic version command should show us the Rust compiler version that we're using. The rust upshow command should show all the toolchains that we've just installed. Make sure that the list shows the stable and nightly toolchains are installed. If this isn't the case for you, check the tutorial page for additional information on how to solve your issue. With all the dependencies now installed, we can go back to the Ternoa documentation and start with the next step. First, we copy the command that will enable us to clone the Ternoa client repository. We create a new folder, change the current working directory to the newly created one, and paste the copied command followed by pressing the enter key to execute it. This will clone the Ternoa client repo. Let's now change the current working directory so that we're looking at the Ternoa chain files. Let's get all the newest changes. Now, we just have to switch to the right Git commit that contains our Ternoa testnet chain specification. We are now ready to build the Ternoa blockchain client. This process can take between 6 minutes to up to an hour. At certain times, it might seem like it's stuck, but give it at least 20 minutes before deciding to do something about it. The last 15 modules take a long time to build, so just be patient and wait for it to finish. Usually the last module can take up to 10 minutes to finish. Once the build is finished, we can see how long it took to compile the client. If there were any compilation errors, we would see them here. With having the client compiled and ready to use, we can go back to the tutorial. Our next task is to set up our validator account. We copy the command that will launch our node in the validator mode. We paste the command and change the node name to something unique. Make sure that you don't use the same name that's used here. Pressing the Enter key will start our node. Our node will immediately try to get all the past blocks that exist. Now let's get back to the tutorial. There, we can find the link to the Ternoa testnet node telemetry data. We sort the node list by name and try to find our node. If we don't see our node here, that means our node wasn't correctly configured. If the node is stuck at block 0, it also means that the node wasn't correctly configured. Now we need to wait for our node to catch up. This can take up to 2.5 hours. The process is finished once our node name becomes white and has the same block number as the other nodes. With our client working with the latest block, we can proceed to the next step. We now need to set up our validator configuration. On the tutorial page, we can find a link that leads us to the testnet Polka UI. There we can go to the accounts page and create 2 accounts. Make sure that you have saved the mnemonic seed somewhere safely. Set stash as the name of the account and use a well-secured password. Now, let's create the second account. As always, make sure that you save the mnemonic seed somewhere safely. Set controller as the name of the second account and use a well-secured password. Now, in order to be a validator, we need to have at least 1,000 test caps. If we visit the official Ternoa testnet faucet, we can get enough test caps to be a validator. By clicking on the controller account name, the account information page opens up. From there, we can copy our account address and paste our address in the address box and click on the claim button to claim the test caps. Now, we need to wait a minute or two for the system to send us the claimed test caps. With the test caps ready to use, we send 1,100 test caps from the controller to the Stash account. And now we wait for our transaction to be executed. Our next job is to bond our stacking and controller account. We can do that by going to the Network page, Stacking, and then on the Account Actions tab. There, we will want to click on the Stash button. We select our Stash account as the Stash account and select our controller account as the controller account. We need to bond at least 1,000 test caps. Now we wait once more for the transaction to be executed. Our controller and Stash accounts are now bonded. We stop our client with Control-C. Our next step is to generate session keys for our node. We can do that by going back to the documentation and clicking on the link that will lead us to How to Run a Validator Polkadot tutorial. From the Generating the Sessions Keys Option 2 CLI section, we copy the curl command, and now we start our node. In a new terminal, connect to the virtual machine, or if you're doing this exercise on your personal PC, you can skip this step. Now change the working directory to the chain folder and paste the copied command and press Enter. Copy the hash from the results field in the JSON file. Now stop the node. Go back to the Polka UI and click on the Session Key button. Here, we paste our hash that we have copied. And now we wait for the transaction to be executed. Now we go back to the terminal and start the node again. With the node running in validator mode, Stash and controller accounts being bonded, and the session keys being set up, we can finally do the last step. We click on the Validate button and set a commission reward to 5. It can be any number from 0 to 100. And for the last time, we wait for the transaction to be executed. Our node will be in the waiting queue for 1 era. If you have any additional questions, please check out the official Ternoa blockchain client documentation or visit us on Discord. Thanks for watching.